Welcome back to the Whatnauts review show number 280. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how's your weekend been?
It's good. I've got vacation time to burn here at the end of the year. So I took yesterday off and just went and got a facial.
Nice. That's awesome. That's relaxing. That's kind of what I'm doing, minus the facial this next week. It's obviously the Thanksgiving coming up, so we had some of the week off. And then we have that like half day on Wednesday. And I was like, I'm just going to take that off because it's a half day. You know, who cares? But it's also my birthday weekend this weekend.
Yeah. Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you. But yeah, because my birthday fell on a Sunday, I couldn't take off of work on that day. So I was like, well, I'll take Monday off. And then I was like, well, then I'm only there next week on Tuesday. Who wants to be only there on a Tuesday? So I was like, I'll just take the whole week off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So good. I got some little vacation time this next week. So it's good. It's good. And I know on one of our other podcasts, I told you I was about to go see the next goal wins this weekend. We're actually changing our plans. We found a showing of the Holdovers. So we're going to go see that tonight.
Yay!
So,
Holdovers is remarkable.
Same movie, almost. You saw it last week. I'm seeing it.
I've already seen both of these. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's exciting. But yeah. Good stuff indeed. I guess real quick before we get started, also happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there who celebrates it. We hope you have
happy parade day.
Yeah, I hope you have some good tasty food. Watch some good football or something.
Did you know that the Good Burger car is going to be in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade this year?
Is it really?
Yes.
Incredible.
Why would I lie?
That's awesome. Melissa, you could just be, you know what, from here on out, Sinister Melissa.
I lie about very mundane things. Just playground, my uncle works at Nintendo type lies.
Right, yeah, exactly. No, he really did work at Nintendo. Good stuff. Melissa, this week here on the show, I have to say, this is like the culmination of the review show. Everything we've been building towards this week on the podcast, we are talking about the Velocipastor. If you guys did not know, each and every week here on the show, we have a different story to talk about. It could be a movie, a TV show, anime, manga, comic book, all sorts of stuff. We read it, we watch it, we come back here and talk about it. Yeah, this week, the Velocipastor. I've been mentioning this movie to you for what feels like 2 years now since I watched it originally. Yeah, and just kept being like, man, this movie's so good. I love it. It was hilarious. It was better than I expected. Like all of this stuff. And you're just kind of politely nodding your head, being like, okay, Kyle.
No, I believe you.
She's lying about that too.
No, once you told me about the Velocipastor, I'm like, that does sound like a real rowdy good time. I'll have to watch that sometime. And I hadn't until you brought it to me this week.
Yes. Yeah. My idea, I got the idea a couple months ago to pitch on my birthday weekend 3 like B movies ish or like ones that could be considered B movies because they were really bad. And so I pitched this and Tammy and the T-Rex and Adventures in Dinosaur City. But we just kind of had to do the Velocipastor because I had talked about it so much. So thank you for picking that one, because this truly is one of my favorites. I love this movie. It is absolutely a blast. It's a good time. Go check it out. I know it's on Peacock, is where you can watch it. Yeah, also on Tubi. I believe they have a Blu-ray out that you can get and you can purchase. So yeah, that's good fun stuff. But Melissa, what did you think? Because I'm excited to hear your thoughts of this. You had seen bits and pieces of Tammy and the T-Rex, or you had seen like clips.
Yeah.
But you knew nothing about the Velocipastor.
No, you told me about it, but I had never seen a frame of it. And I had trouble imagining how this thing is brought to life on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time. It's a movie that is purposefully a absurd, low quality B movie.
Mm-hmm.
But watching it, I feel like the cast and crew do know what they're doing. Like, I don't think this is a good movie, but I feel like in another context, these people could make a good movie. And instead, they chose to gift us with the Velocipastor.
Absolutely. I was talking to the guy that works at my comic book store about this, and we were talking about how there's like a group of people nowadays that are really taking this like B movie, this like poor, like bad, low budget movie seriously in a way. That's not the right word exactly, but they know the genre space that they're working in. They are using that style, that budget, that type of editing to make actual like fun movies in that space, and not have it be like, oh yeah, we were in the 1940s and we had a budget of $5,000 and we just happened to make a really bad movie, even though we thought we were making something really good, right? They know the space that they're operating in, and it works so well. It's so fun because it's so dumb, it's so stupid, and I love it. And it never overstays its welcome. It's only like an hour and 15, an hour and 20-ish.
Real snappy.
Yeah, so it hooks you right from the start, moves along, and gets out, and it's a good fun time indeed. It's a good fun time, and they are working on a sequel. Apparently, this past month is when they wrapped up production for the thing. In October 2023 is when they wrapped production. So no word yet on a release date, but
I want to see it in theaters.
Right? Yeah, I would go to that IMAX screening.
Alamo Draft House.
Velocipastor 2. Catch me front and center.
I would like to read from a Letterboxd review that I found that I feel like pretty aptly summarizes this movie. This is from Drew Edelstein. Father Jones, the discount combination of Benedict Cumberbatch and John Mulaney, is a priest who loses his parents in a tragic, incredibly elaborate car accident.
Mm-hmm.
Grieving, he embarks on a journey to China, happening upon a mystical artifact that causes him to turn into a velociraptor. Taken in by a prostitute, or rather a hooker doctor lawyer, he attempts to balance his faith with his newfound prehistoric powers. And this is only in the first 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That is the like plot synopsis of what's happening in this. Yeah, he gets these velociraptor powers, and then starts taking out bad guys. Yeah, it is a blast. It is ridiculous. The incredibly elaborate car accident scene, car explosion is great. Yeah, there's it's like again, they know the space that they're working in. They don't have the effects to do all these fancy explosions and green screen things, and so
instead they really hang a lampshade on it. They obviously point out the lack of special effects.
Yeah, and it makes for a hilarious time. I highly recommend going to check it out. It's a blast. Everyone will be laughing. So yeah, Good stuff with that. Do you have anything else that you want to add onto our like general thoughts before we get into spoilers and stuff?
No, I feel like we've told the audience enough. Go to your free Tubi. Click on it. Like I said, you get 20 minutes in and you've had quite a taste of the Velocipastor.
Absolutely. You'll be hooked. Indeed. Cool. Yeah. Well, let's take a quick break for housekeeping. And then when we come back, we will dive into spoilers a little bit for the Velocipastor. We'll be right back. Here at the Whatnauts, we make multiple different shows, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. If you enjoy our shows, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to show your support. For just $1 a month, you can get early access to episodes, and at our $3 tier, a Patreon-exclusive podcast, The Pilots Club. You can even get a shout-out and thank you on most of our shows at the $5 tier. And if you're one of our patrons already, thank you so much. It means the world to us. You can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in The Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch for video versions of the shows, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a hoodie or a mug or something else, head over to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot.
Thank you.
It means a ton. Over on the Pilots Club this month, we got to talk about the first episode of Manifest, a TV show about a plane that takes off from Jamaica and is headed to New York, only to find that when they land, they discover that they are now missing 5.5 years of time. The world has moved on without them, and there's a big mystery of what happened to that plane while it was up in the air, because to them, it was a normal plane, right? Who knows? So we got to discuss that a bit, and that was a good, fun time. But for next month, for December, we'll give you a little sneak peek about what we will be talking about. Then Genndy Tartakovsky has a new cartoon out called Unicorn Warriors Eternal. And we are going to be discussing the first episode of that. If you are an animation nerd, this is one that you will want to check out. There's a lot of like early manga influence, early American cartooning from Disney to everything you see on Cartoon Network. It's just a wild mix of styles in that one. So there you go. Right here on the review show this past week, we got to talk about the neo-crime noir mystery extravaganza that is Under the Silver Lake. An A24 film starring Andrew Garfield as he goes down the rabbit hole searching for a neighbor of his that he's kind of fallen in love with, and she's disappeared. If you like solving mysteries and puzzles, if you like trying to find all the rabbit holes and the Easter eggs and the hidden meanings behind everything, this is a film for you. There's so much to explore. There's some things that blew my mind of like, there was a hidden meaning in that? Oh my God. What? So yeah, go check that one out. Over on the Captain's Log this past week, we got to talk about some of the shows and things that we've been catching up on. Melissa, you finally watched the rest of Hannibal, which we covered here on the review show years ago. So you did that. I caught up on Our Flag Means Death, season 2, stuff like that. And then we got to react to the Madam Web trailer and What If season 2 trailer. So go check all of that stuff out over there. Besides those trailer reactions, over on the Reactor Core, we also have our reactions to the Loki season 2 finale and the Marvels. So go check all of that stuff out. But I think that is about it for housekeeping stuff. So without further ado, let's get back to the Velocipastor. Okay, we are officially in spoiler territory. Now, Melissa, I know I had described this as like, it's a B movie, it's a low budget movie, but like you said, you had trouble picturing what, like, how B movie is this B movie, right? So, like, going into it, what were you expecting? What, like, when did it click for you of like, oh, okay, this is what we're in for here?
I'd heard it was kind of inspired by Birdemic. I've seen that. I was picturing that in my mind. And I know, let me describe this opening scene, which is what you described to me like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where our main character, Father Doug Jones, which I thought it was very funny that he has the same name as like the guy who played Abe Sapien. Classic character actor Doug Jones. You see him doing a sermon, then he walks out of the church, and across the street are his parents standing next to their car talking to each other. He does not approach his parents. Instead, he just stands there on the steps of the church and waves, "Hi, Mom! Hi, Dad!" And they wave back at him. And then you see him react with shock, and it cuts to the reverse shot, which the parents and the car are now gone. It's just a shot of the empty street, and laid over the screen is the text, VFX, car on fire.
Explosion, car on fire. Yeah. And then it cuts back to him and he's just like, no.
Which made me think of like some jokey like high school goof off. Like if you have to make a short film for like a class project and you make it as dumb as possible because you have no resources, you just have Windows Movie Maker. And you put as much silly text in there as you can.
Absolutely. Which is apparently how this project got started. I don't know who or what he was texting them, but apparently he got the idea because his phone auto-corrected the word velociraptor into Velocipastor. And so then he got the idea from that way. So I should mention, I say he, I don't think we've mentioned, this is a 2017 American comedy horror film written and directed and edited by Brendan Steere. So
2019, I think.
So that's when it had the wider release in the United States. But they made it in 2017. It was... according to the Wikipedia page, after screening at the B Movie Underground and Trash, the Butt Film Festival on August 31st, 2018, the film received a wide release in the United States in August 13th, 2019 by Wild Eye Releasing. So it's... It started as this like college project when he was in school, and like he made this short film which is out on YouTube. You guys can go watch it. And I've done this exact same project basically when I was in art school. We had to like come up with an idea for a movie and then like film the trailer for the movie and do all of that stuff. The one that I did was a hide and seek game of hide and seek. Because what was that? Wasn't there some movie that was like tag? It was a bunch of guys playing tag all over. It was something like that. So I was like, what if we just did another child like game? What if we did hide and seek? And so it was this like citywide game of hide and seek, but we all took it like as seriously as like the next like Mission Impossible action movie. Yeah, and so thus the Velocipastor was born. So you're spot on. It feels like this like college project come to life here. So and it worked. It's fantastic. Yeah, so like that I think that opening shot, that opening kind of joke about the car exploding, I think is what really hooked me. That is one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. It is just instantly like, this is what you're in for here. We know what we're working with. It like it's not like we're trying to have a car like that. There's like a green screen of a car on fire, right, or they bought something on a website.
We don't even cut to footage of like a Hot Wheel that they lit on fire that they're trying to treat like it's a miniature. They're like, what is the least we can do? The funniest part of it to me is that every piece of on-screen text is in this almost Old West looking serif font. It's such a specific choice.
Yeah. It's almost like it's not exactly the like marker felt tip style, but it has the like a little more rounded serifs. Even still, it's funny how they can go from that like VFX car on fire to then after like his parents have died, he tries to like go find himself or go find God in this situation. So he goes to China, and they have the like big bold on screen China in this like yellow serif font, and he's just out in the woods somewhere in Philadelphia or something in Pennsylvania.
Every single exterior in this movie is in the same park that looks like zero of the places it's supposed to be.
It's great.
It cuts to him walking around in the woods. This text on screen says China. And then the text disappears and you see Doug just looking around, taken in the air. And he says, China.
Oh, man, it's so good. Like, I love how they do stuff like that. Oh, yes, you have something else?
One more thing. So the movie starts, his parents die. He talks to his superior, his mentor, Father Stewart, and Father Stewart's like, travel, find yourself. Then there's the title sequence is over this montage of him driving, set to this hard rock music. Then it cuts to him wandering around the woods in China. Telling me that he drove to China? Is that the joke here? He drove there?
He's that much of a badass. He drove all the way to China.
But one of the more subtle details of making this purposefully into a bad movie is that after it cuts from the driving montage to him walking around these supposedly Chinese woods, is that the hard rock driving music continues for like another minute. And then it fades out and turns into tranquil music. Like just the incorrect cut of the music was very funny to me.
Yeah. Yep. And this is then like almost immediately is when they introduce ninjas into the movie. You can't have a bad B movie without some mention of ninjas at the very least. It's like
the easiest, cheapest costume you can get for a bad guy.
Absolutely. When I was a young kid with my friends in our backyards out in the woods making movies, this is what we'd do. We'd fight ninjas. We'd film it. It'd be like the Jedi versus ninjas, right? We'd have those like little fake lightsabers. We'd have ninja stars and stuff that we could toss around, and we just make stupid movies like that. And this is exactly it. And I think that's partly why at least this connects with me, is like I did this stuff. Like, this is me. I understand Doug Jones in here. I am Doug Jones. We are all Doug Jones. God, we made so many stupid home movies back in the day. It was great. But there's this. Chinese princess, this Chinese woman. I don't know.
We never figure out who she
backstory.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is a little bit. Once we do see the ninjas, once they've come to Pennsylvania or wherever they are, I think it was filmed in Pennsylvania, is I think what I saw. I could be wrong with that, but whenever they come to where Doug Jones lives, they do mention this thing about some kind of like dragon warriors, and I'm not familiar enough with like Chinese mythology to know if it is, are they pulling on some myth, some story, or are they just maybe making it up? Like, oh, it's Chinese, so dragons. Like, let's put that in, and ninjas, right?
Dragon, almost velociraptor. The movie never talks about that.
Right, yeah. I mean, dinosaurs could be mistaken for dragons or vice versa. So that's believable to an extent. I mean, that's kind of what the history has also said about even like the European stories of dragons and stuff. Of like, these were maybe like tales passed down from generations of them, like fighting the alligators, like bigger alligators or lizards or some kind of dinosaur like creature, rather than an actual like Smaug dragon sitting on a big old pile of gold there, right? So yeah, I mean, it like, there is that stuff, but yeah, we don't know it. Like, is she someone who used to be in that organization and wanted out? Is she royalty somehow? Is she an important political figure? Did
she once carry the Velociraptor powers? We don't know.
Yeah. Is she the Stegosaurus something? Who knows? But she gets hit with an arrow and dies right in front of Doug Jones, but not before passing on this ancient artifact, which transforms him into said Velocipastor. And enter Carol. This is where he makes it back home. He is like wandering around in the woods as he's transforming. Carol happens to be doing some shady business out in the woods there, and the Doug has fully transformed into a velociraptor at this point and killed this guy that is harassing her, and she brings him back to her apartment.
Very nice, Carol.
Right, yeah, very caring. And she as he like wakes up that next morning not knowing what happened, she comes in and is like, last night was amazing. And he's just so confused of like, who are you? Where am I? What's happening? Why am I naked? Like, what is going on? It's great that they just continue on with like the misunderstanding joke. Oh no, we didn't actually have sex. But you turned into a velociraptor. What did you think I was talking about?
That was amazing. I've never had an experience like that before in my life.
Exactly. What did you think about Carol's character here?
I liked her. She's very kind, very competent. I like that we were introduced to her as this. First off, you see her wearing this like animal print, like short sort of waist length faux fur coat, which has somehow become movie language for this is a prostitute. And I'm very curious what the history of that trope is. Because as soon as I see it, that's what I thought it was. Then yes, she is a sex worker. She's the sort of hooker with a heart of gold trope. But then I like finding out that she's also in pre-med and pre-law school, and she just does this to earn some money.
Yeah, good for
I like
her,
that she's got
honestly.
aspirations. She's she's got a whole life. Good for Carol.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's an interesting character because she both is the trope, but then an extension of that, which makes it new and ridiculous. Right? It is not like I'm paying my way through law school, and that's it. It's law school and med school at the same time.
She needs that money.
She's a genius. Yeah, absolutely. I'm wondering if that trope though does have something to do with like fur equals luxury in some people's eyes. Like it was expensive, and so if you can like, have that like animal skin, animal fur kind of thing, but also have it be like a real short, tight skirt, right? Like
I don't know. I don't know if there's one movie back in like the 70s that put in the parlance of the time, a streetwalker in that coat, and everybody just kept parroting that one movie, and now that's entered our modern lexicon. Not in like a very obvious way. I don't think I've ever heard anybody reference this, but that's what I think whenever I see that coat. Yeah. And I feel like this movie was also using that very purposefully. I don't know.
Study of sex workers' fashion in cinema. Interesting, yeah.
You've also got the biblical allusion there with Mary Magdalene being a prostitute. I don't know. I saw the Da Vinci Code once, so that's all my knowledge about this.
I learned everything I know about religion from the Da Vinci Code.
I saw Jesus Christ Superstar once.
I like her character a lot because even when you see her in her like sex worker job, when she meets all-time great Frankie Mermaid, and you know why they call him Frankie Mermaid, right? Because he's swimming in bitches. Love it. Terrible. I love it. But even then, like she is like she feels competent enough to like she could almost be running his scheme like 10 times better than him. She feels not exasperated is not the right word, but she feels just like I have to put up with him, but also I am so much smarter than this idiot.
Yeah.
At the same time. And I would part of me almost wants to see her like now that he's dead and out of the way, like what could she do in that space? Like how could she run that same operation, but in a much better, safer way that had a better outlook on sex workers? Instead, not that this movie has a bad outlook on sex workers. I don't think it's commenting on that at all.
I think so. She offers multiple services. You pay by the hour, both for sexual activities and legal advice.
Yeah. And hey, I also need a checkup. Do you offer physicals? I charge extra for that. Putting on the rubber gloves and stuff. Yeah, good Lord. But they do have a pretty good romance in this film. They get this idea to like, hey, if you're gonna be turning into this velociraptor, why not use those powers for good and take out people who are doing bad, who are evil, right? And so they start like exploring that space and what is that like, and in that process, in that montage of them doing all of that stuff, they do kind of have this connection. You see them like hanging out and spending time together and laughing. And
I love this montage that is every montage at once. It's both the getting to know each other date montage and the training montage, the preaching montage, the going to the gym montage, the being a velociraptor montage.
The turning evil montage, the like, but maybe I should kill these people, right? Like, it's all of that into one. It's fantastic. But when his mentor finds out, he ends up wanting to lock Doug Jones up. And that's what he does. He takes him to go see like a mystic. Is that the right word?
His name's like Alistair or Altair or something.
Yeah. Played by Voltaire.
Okay.
Aurelio Voltaire, who is apparently is professionally known, as Aurelio Voltaire, or simply Voltaire, a Cuban American musician, singer, composer, author, animator, known for his gothic style of dress and music.
Is this the guy who did those songs for Billy and Mandy?
Oh, yes, yeah. I see that here. He also created the songs for Cartoon Network animated series, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Amazing. Man, I did not know that.
I listen to those every Halloween.
Interesting. Yeah, he's according to his Wikipedia here, Voltaire is considered a leading figure in the dark cabaret music genre.
Gotta have it.
13 studio albums. So,
oh my, what a tough challenge. What a tough challenge for a goth. Once you've reached 13, do you stop?
Yeah, right?
Have you reached your pinnacle? Do you keep going and you're like, dang, nobody will ever say I have only a spooky 13 number of albums.
Exactly. Or do you continue on and just never admit that you made your 13th one? Right? Like this is 13.
I saved it.
The superstitious, like, like floor 13 doesn't exist. We go straight from 12 to 14, and just like that is his like secret hidden album that you have to like do some occult ritual to download. Who knows?
If you shoot past 13, you have to go all the way to 666. I'm sorry, this is only how it works.
Yeah.
My favorite bit in the entire movie is when Father Stewart flashes back to the Vietnam War. And Father Stewart must be like the director's dad or somebody.
Some familial thing, yeah.
When you flash back to him, it's the same like man in his 50s, but they've put him in a wig and like a helmet that's too small because it has to go over a wig.
Yeah.
And he's talking to this guy who's supposed to be his war buddy. The funniest running bit in this movie to me is young men calling older men son.
Now look here, son.
And Father Stewart is saying, before he went and became a priest, like he has this girl waiting for him at home. He really wants to settle down, get married, start a family. And his war buddy, nice. Ali is...
Back in Nam, we had nothing to eat but war butter.
His buddy is saying, when you go home, start that family, I bet you could have 5 kids. And then he takes a second, like puts his chin in his hand, reconsiders and says, 11 kids. Five is already a lot of kids. And then he jumps over. He more than doubles 11, it. He skips all these numbers and goes to 11 kids. And then he says, and I want you to spend 15 minutes a day with each of them.
You have to schedule time. You have to make an appointment.
It's so
set an alarm. Up, little Timmy, sorry. Time's up. It's time for
Sally
Samantha
time.
now. Yeah.
It's so many numbers. I rewound this several times. Nothing is funnier to me than the sudden jump from 5 kids to 11 kids. I love this war section. I want
It's great. Yeah.
I want this team to go on and make an entire war movie. The idea of a
awesome.
war movie that's just men who are all the wrong age wearing wigs and like ill-fitting costumes clearly in somebody's park is great.
Brendan, we have an idea. We've come up with this idea on another one of our podcasts. You take the trope of the old grizzled detective and the young hotshot detective, but you reverse them. The young one is the jaded detective. He's a drinker, he's a smoker, all that stuff. And then you got the senior detective who is the hotshot, real chipper, just ready to go on the case. He knows how to do it.
The young one is saying, I'm too old for this. When do I retire? And somebody's like, you're still on your parents' health insurance.
Right. And he's also the one, son, we need to slow down here. Right. It's the Miles Morales, hey, but it's son, slow down here. When you get to be my age, like
24.
Yeah. When you've been on the force as long as I have,
18 months.
Wow, 18 months? That's so long. I've only been here for 2 weeks.
Although I did do 40 years of service in another force, but I've only been here for 2 weeks.
You're right, yeah. They transferred me from the records department. It's gold. We have an idea. Hire us. We'll make something
Hollywood.
work.
Bring us to you.
Exactly. Anyways,
another great bit in this Vietnam
please.
flashback is like he pulls out the photo. He's like, this is my sweetheart Adeline. I can't wait to go home to her. And they're just hanging around being soldiers. Yeah. And then Adeline starts running at him from
She's
nowhere.
Just randomly there in Vietnam.
Vietnam, which is the same park that they use for China and for Philadelphia. Same park. She's just running to him out of nowhere. Again, he doesn't run towards her. He stands where he is, just like Doug at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And is like, Adeline, Adeline. And she's like, Stuart. And then there's this wonderful edit where she like apparently steps on a mine and just like they cut it and cropped out the part of the frame where they're shooting blood and throwing a fake arm at Stuart.
Yeah, he just gets covered in all of her blood and guts and is just in shock and just stays like that. And
one of the other war buddies is like, it's too late for her now. We can't help her.
It just great comedic timing with that. I that is a scene I expect them to say some kind of funny line right there. And sometimes when you can anticipate a joke, it's not as funny. I was like, it is both a mix of like the straight lace face that of which he says it with, also what he says, but just the right amount of awkward pause in there of like, I know a joke's coming. When is it? Oh, there it is, right? And they nail it, and it's still so funny. Of just can't do anything for her now. It's too late.
There's the one thing in this movie I kind of struggled with is that there were some sections like this that are so gag heavy, and other ones that are more sincere, like they're more straightforward but just sort of generally campy. Like there's the concept is still there. Priest turns into a velociraptor. Most of the time he just has a rubber glove on.
Right, yeah.
Like they're not specifically making any jokes for a stretch of the movie, and they had made so many jokes in other parts that I was too prepared for that. I'm like, where are the gags? I think I just wanted this movie to be like Airplane or Top Secret or something.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I noticed that too. I don't think I minded it all that much, but you're right. It is also something I noticed of like, okay, there's a long stretch here kind of almost midway to 2/3 of the movie through, where they're taking it a little bit more seriously to get some plot out of the way, or to kind of progress it enough to where they can do the big finale fight scene against the ninjas. I liked all of that stuff, but it does feel maybe slower because of the rate at which those jokes were coming, and then it slows down a bit. There's this kind of dip in them. I don't know if kind of spreading that out and making it a little more even is the right choice, though, because I do think having like you do need to have a break in between jokes every now and then. Because I even think back to like Taika Waititi's like Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that, where it's joke after joke after joke after joke, and it almost kind of it's overbearing to the more emotional parts of the film, where it's like, I feel like I should be sitting with this emotion a little bit longer, but you're already making a fart joke. Right. So I kind of appreciate that there is this like little dip in like, okay, I can sit with this a little bit here. So yeah, I don't know.
I do want to praise the movie for its more sincere segments. Like I said, I think there is really interesting technique at some point.
Yeah.
I love the use of split screen, like kind of throwback 70s split screen in this. And the scene where Doug and Carol are going to have sex. First, you get the gag of when they're taking off all their clothes, Doug also removes the bandages from his wound.
Yeah.
But the colors in that, where they're being bathed in these like red, blue, green, fuchsia, like really intense lights, and there's all these really quick cuts, and part of it is silly, like it's flashing back to not just earlier in their relationship, but literally the entire movie and fast forward up until that point. But when they get right down to the business, it's like the two of them bathe in these lights, and it starts cutting between the two of them so fast that like their faces blur together. That scene's pretty neat. I really liked it on its own, outside of any jokes.
Yeah. That scene in particular kind of reminded me of Dario Argento's Suspiria with those colors. I forget when that movie was made. Was that in the 60s?
Oh, 70s? It's like 77 or so.
Which is kind of the style of filmmaking that they're doing here, like you mentioned, with the split screen and these just like bright, super saturated colors in this light. It kind of reminded me of a similar visual language to that movie. So,
looking at the YouTube description for the original Velocipastor trailer that Brandon Steere uploaded, some of the music in this trailer is from Goblin's soundtrack to Suspiria.
Oh, interesting. There you go. Hit it on the head. Hole in one.
Oh,
nailed it.
I also nailed it on the head. Suspiria did come out in 1977. Exactly.
Hell yeah. Good stuff.
Also free on Tubi. Double feature. Suspiria and the Velocipastor.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I really do like the relationship between Carol and Doug here in this show, and I like how by the end of this film she's kind of ride or die for him. Like they have this partnership that I think is going to prove beneficial in some interesting ways. I don't know what they have planned exactly for the sequel. I think there is a synopsis out that we'll mention at the end of the show, but not sure exactly what they have planned. Will she be done with med school, with law school? Is she on the road with do they get married? Do they have kids? Do they have little velociraptor babies?
Yes, partially velociraptor children.
Right, yeah.
Just little kids in face paint.
Right. The sequel is actually a spoof of Air Bud, but it's just the Air Buddies stuff where there's a lot of them.
Ain't no rules
Good
saying
Lord.
a velociraptor can't play basketball.
Yeah, but they like I like that. I like how in the finale, in the big fight scene where we do start to learn we have to go back and talk more in depth about this finale, but I like how she is
no qualms, no discussion. She's like, where you go, fighting. I go.
Yeah,
I'll put on ninjas. I will put on my black power jumpsuit and try and do some karate over here.
Yeah, which to me really reads like late 80s, early 90s movies about like urban ninjas, like from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the Three Ninjas and stuff like that. It's like, here's this like everyday person now fighting ninjas. What is going on?
She holds her own.
Yeah, she does hold her own indeed. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this finale and this like not conspiracy, but this thing that's happening that they kind of stumble on to here.
Let's talk about the villain's plan first.
Yes, please.
Specifically, the villain's henchman. The villain is this kind of tropey, like Chinese kung fu master guy. I think I was reading like that actor got really into the role. He's like, this is fun. I'm going to bring my own costume. I like this.
Oh, yeah.
And he has this one hinge. I love that whenever you go to his compound, which is just that same park again, he has
guys.
I know. Just permanently, there is one guy standing next to a flag and two guys just doing punches, and every punch has a whoosh sound effect to it. The sound team on this movie really working overtime in post-production.
Oh, they
and
had
this
a blast.
one henchman who's just this like dorky blonde guy who's very intense. And there's a scene where they're talking about their evil plan, and the like kung fu master does a maniacal laugh, and the henchman laughs too. And the master keeps laughing. So the henchman has to also keep laughing, doing every different kind of laugh you can imagine.
It's like a game of chicken, but who will stop laughing first? It's like, no, I'm more evil than you. Therefore, I laugh longer. Yeah. Yeah, that also kind of reminds me of those like urban ninja movies. Just that you have this like dorky evil white guy who just happens to be there. You have no idea like why. How did you get involved with this organization? What is going on? Did they have like a great dental plan or something? What's happening here? But. Yeah, they are manufacturing drugs, and they are planning to get a bunch of people hooked. And when they find out about the Velocipastor, they want to like co-opt him as a pastor to be like, hey, you can take out our competition for the drugs space. Therefore, we will be the drug lords. We'll get everyone addicted, and because they're addicted, they'll need Jesus, and they can come to your church where they'll give you money I love that. It's a great plan, right?
Like, drugs is not the final plan. Religion is the final plan. It's a religious crusade. They're like, we'll get everyone in the city hooked on cocaine. Then we'll take away the cocaine. Everyone will need to go to a support group for Addicts Anonymous. The support groups will be at the church.
Yeah.
Their new drug is Jesus.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just like, honestly, it's another one of those, like, it's so dumb it works. Like, schemes, like, I can see how that cycle works then, like every so often, like, okay, new influx of drugs, and then we take them away, and then they all go to church, and then new influx of drugs, and then take them away, and they all go to church, and yeah, they start tithing, they start paying for help and support and all that stuff, and that's how they make their evil empire, right? But yeah, then by when Doug and Carol go to confront this group and they figure out what their plan is, they're almost going to just kind of leave when this nerdy white guy, I forget if he says his name in
Is it
this.
Sam?
It might be Sam. Where did I have the... Oh, let me see. Velocipastor, Wikipedia. Let me see if there's his...
I'm pretty sure his name is Sam, because I am acquainted with a guy named Sam Jones, and I thought it was funny there's another Sam Jones in this movie.
Jesse Curtis as Sam the White Ninja. Jesse Turrets, I believe is his name. Yeah,
outstanding performance. Thank you, Jesse.
Incredible. Yeah. And he just immediately goes into the trope of like, no, I'm your brother. And he's like, what? No.
And then earlier in the movie, Doug had been flashing back to good times with his parents, one of which is the three of them sitting around the dinner table.
Such a great
just
gag.
laughing and laughing and laughing at nothing while there's voiceover saying, son, we're really proud of you. And sitting there on the table is a plate that just has 8 slices of white bread on it. Just 8
I missed that.
slices. Just 8 slices of white sandwich bread. I thought it was really funny. And then later, when you see that scene again and it pans over from the three of them laughing at the table to just Sam standing despondently in the kitchen, I'm like, that's why there were 8 slices of bread. They're going to each have one sandwich.
He's just like, he's not sitting at the table with the rest of them. He must have like gone up
just
to get a glass of water, but now he missed out on this joke that the whole family is laughing at. Maybe they were laughing at him. Who knows? But it's still like, they're having fun without me. My family doesn't want me. I must become a ninja. Right?
And there's the scene where Doug is in the car with his parents and his dad's giving him this sort of Uncle Ben.
Yeah,
pep
it's absolutely that.
And they're like dropping him off for priest school. It's very funny that they don't say seminary. They just say priest school. And then you cut to that scene again, and there's like an extra backseat in the car, and like Sam rises up. Like, I never get that kind of support.
Yeah, it's so good. He's his long lost brother. There's a big fight.
Not even long lost. He was there the whole time, and
just
Doug just never
ignored.
thought about him. Right, yeah. Long ignored.
And yeah, they have this big like ninja fight at the end here, and it's not until Carol gets I guess like stabbed or hit with a ninja star or an arrow, or I forget what, but she gets hurt, and that causes Doug to go into a fit of rage and turn into a dinosaur.
Which is just like one of those big inflatable Halloween costumes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it is not the inflatable Halloween costume, but looks akin to it. Like there is some. They did make a suit, and if you look in the original like short film of the Velocipastor, it is just this wonderfully, terribly constructed dinosaurs suit whose name I think is Mona. They credit her as like Mona the dinosaur or something. So it's great to know that the dinosaur suit has a name. But yeah, like he transforms into this thing, and it is just like the cheesiest Velociraptor Tyrannosaurus Rex looking costume, and just goes on a rampage, killing ninjas, eating ninjas. It is ridiculous. It's hilarious. And it's have you ever seen? You know that the song by the presidents of the United States of America, Peaches?
Yeah.
Millions of peaches
Yes.
for free. Have you seen that music video?
No.
Absolutely, go watch the music video of this. This is exactly what I'm talking about by like late 80s, early 90s random ninjas. Just this is the idea. They have a standard like music video like out in the woods, and then halfway in the song, ninjas attack. And that's it. That's the idea for the music video, and they have to fight off ninjas. And it reminds me of this, just like cheesy ninja fight scene. Like, what is happening here? But they end up destroying all these ninjas, eating them, killing them, and they eventually get Carol to some help. She makes it. She's alive.
What happens is that Doug is brought into the room where they're holding her at the hospital, and she's like up on it. I thought the reveal was going to be that she was pregnant, because I'm like, yes, that is absolutely a gynecological exam chair that she's in. Yeah. But the fact that they don't tell you that makes it even funnier. Like, why is she there? But she goes in, and Doug says, "So you're fine?" And she beckons him close and whispers in his ear, "I'm fine." And then this giant text appears on the screen that says, "She's fine."
Which, I mean, it might be her actually finding out that she's pregnant, and it's them being worried about like that, what, half velociraptor babies, like, is that gonna cause some problem? But they don't give you that context, and so it is this mix of like, is she recovering from her injuries from the ninja fight that she just had? Or how far along is this that they're worried about the like little velociraptor babies?
Like the fact that this should play exactly like a scene where she tells him that she's pregnant, but that never happens, makes it fair. I love that joke. I love the juxtaposition of this thing that you expect to be there that is completely missing.
And it's the reverse of the China joke, where it comes up on screen and it's like China, and then he goes, China, right? And cut. It's I'm fine. She's fine. Right there fine on screen. Yeah, so good. But then they have this like, I don't know, like 50s style, like greaser almost, like he is the cool hot shot of the gang. Like, well, now I have to go take this mission around the world, right? And like, but I'll have my baby right by my side, right? And yeah, they want to go to, like, they think of like, well, now that you're a priest that has these velociraptor powers, the diocese will have something to say about this. I wonder what the Vatican will think, right? Like all of that stuff. Like, we have to go to Europe. We have to go to Italy. We have to go here. We have to go there.
Around the world.
Yeah. And so, like, that's kind of where the movie ends. They start making out. They live happily ever after. Who knows? But yeah, it's like, I like that scene too. That it is them at the end, just in this like ride or die position with this like grand calling, even though they're not actually being called anywhere. Like, yeah, they just think we've
decided this
mission. Yeah. I like that scene a lot, because it is the like we could make a sequel of this eventually, maybe. Who knows? We're keeping it open-ended, but also not really giving you anything of what the sequel will actually be. And it wraps everything up that they just get to be on their own and start a family. Little youth velocipastors. Good Lord. So yeah, I had a blast with this. I love this movie a lot.
As we wrap up, there's one final thing I have to mention that we didn't touch on, which is when Frankie Mermaids goes to Doug for confession.
Oh, the confession,
and
yeah.
Yes. And he's listing his crimes. And he's like, well, first off, I stole candy from a baby. Then I had to throw the kid in the river so he wouldn't squeal.
He's so good. And then he finds out that amongst his crimes was the car explosion that killed his parents. And then
which was like he works for that guy in China, and we never find out why that guy wanted the parents dead.
Yeah, to send him on his walkabout in China to find God, where he would find the artifact. Like everything is circular, cyclical. Yeah, there you go. It's a big Ouroboros snake eating its own tail. But no, when we find out that he's the one that set the car bomb, we get a flashback again to that scene, and it's very similar to the long ignored brother, where Frankie Mermaid was just off camera, like hiding behind a tree or like a 2-hour parking sign, just being there with his most evil laugh, like, and it's so dumb, and they like juxtapose his face on Doug Jones being like, no, Mom, Dad.
I'm on the Wikipedia page for this movie, and one of the production notes is filmed on a budget of $36,000. Steere was influenced by director Guillermo del Toro, presumably by his lower budget earlier films like Kronos. But maybe Doug Jones is named after Doug Jones.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Potentially, could be.
I want to read what Wikipedia has to say about the sequel.
Yes, please.
Brendan Steere has stated that he wants to do a sequel as he believes the world of Velocipastor is so permissible and fun. In March 2020, Steere shared a sneak peek of the script on Twitter, making the announcement that the script was completed and set to start filming at some point. Production on The Velocipastor 2 wrapped up on October 4th, 2023. This is 1 year after the completed Kickstarter, where the team raised $118,000.
Yeah.
There is no release date. A big change from the first film is that this one is being directed by Jesse Goldsberry, the cinematographer and producer in the previous film. The screenplay is written by Brendan Steere and Goldsberry, with Steere editing the film. Alyssa Kapinski, Carol in the films, has also joined the production side as a producer this time around. See also list of films featuring dinosaurs.
Good stuff. Yeah, man, I absolutely had a blast with this film. I cannot recommend it enough. Let me see, because I did find a little article. Let me pull up the Kickstarter. I found that too. I did find, where was it? Comicbook.com has an article about them wrapping production of Velocipastor 2. Continue without disabling. I want my ad blocker. Let's see. It says is a sequel to blah blah blah, reprising their roles as Father Doug Jones and Carol, a hooker / doctor / lawyer. Comicbook.com paid a visit to the set of Velocipastor 2. And we'll have some interviews and photos to share once the film's release inches closer. Let's see. I think they had a It says, inspired by the Italian giallo films, folk horror, and 1980s Cold War movies, the sequel to Velocipastor is explicitly set in the 1980s, as opposed to the first movie, which took place in the 1970s, but did not include any in-story events or references that would have made that clear, leaving the audience to wonder whether it was a period piece or just a movie made to look timeless. I guess the only thing would be the nom references and stuff like that. Like that would have been in the 60s, and so 10 years after that, I guess you could see I forget the other priest's name.
Father Stewart.
Father Stewart, yes. Thank you. It says, here's the synopsis for Velocipastor 2. Doug and Carol travel to the port city of Milan, where they have to solve a series of murders committed by a masked slasher at an Italian fertility festival, period. And Soviet spies, period. Interpol is there too, period. That's it. That's the synopsis. It says original Velocipastor writer director Brendan Steele will return as writer and producer, tapping, as you said, all of this stuff. Most of the crew from the original movie returned, including Emmy-winning makeup and prosthetics artist Jennifer Suarez, fresh off some work on The Walking Dead: Dead City.
Oh,
which is, I believe, the one that is focusing on Negan and Maggie, I think. Or wait, no, is Dead City the one that was focusing on Rick? I don't know. There's so many spin-offs nowadays of The Walking Dead. But yeah, they are going to Milan to solve some murders at an Italian fertility festival. There will be Soviet spies and Interpol.
Good mix.
Great. Yeah, this sounds awesome. So good on them. I'm glad that this has been such a hit and has like already reached like a modern cult classic hit status, and that they are making a sequel and have a like more than tripled, almost quadrupled their budget.
Yeah.
On this next one. My only hope is that it does not go into like, well, now we can do bigger production value per se, and like it loses its like sense of comedy in the way the like VFX car on fire, right? That is some of the most charming bits of this movie. To be honest, I hope this goes into paying the actors and the crew that much more and stuff like that, because they all did some phenomenal work.
I do not want to see $118,000 on the screen.
Unless it has to do with them like, we'll pay you $118K to like.
That's the only time I want to see it.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, good stuff with all of that. Bravo to Brendan Steere and crew who made this, the cast. It's all incredible. Good fun times. If you haven't watched this yet, go check it out.
Please do. It's free. It's very accessible. Put it on for your family this Thanksgiving season.
Yeah, indeed. Cool. Let's see. I don't think we really have a bingo update. We like to play movie trope bingo on this. I think I have one that is arguable, and it's sex scene set to music.
I'd give you that one.
Yeah. They do have a montage. It is a sex scene. It is set to music, but they also don't really get into, it's like, oh, this is a sex scene on film. They're just kind of making out.
Oh, okay. It is relatively chaste. So if we don't see anything, so if you want to save that for later, okay.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take it just because
it doesn't give you any bingos anyway.
Yeah, it really does not. Let me see here if I can do 5. Where's the good Lord? Do this. Let me at least bring this up on screen so everyone can see what we are talking about here. So here's our bingo cards. And Melissa, you only have 2 squares left to completely fill yours out. I have a handful of mine, but I am going to mark sex scene set to music. I find this one acceptable. But also since we've kind of been at a slower pace with marking these off, we only have a handful of episodes left until the end of the year here, so I might as well. Yeah, that's fine. This is acceptable. This was an acceptable sex scene. Good stuff. Okay, that is our bingo update for this week here. Melissa, let's talk recommendations. If people enjoy this, what else might they like?
I mentioned it earlier. Top Secret. Airplane's good too, but Top Secret is my favorite of that series of very gag-heavy spoof films.
Mm-hmm.
I also mentioned Birdemic. Go into the realm of, when I say bad movies, I don't mean bad as a qualifier. I mean bad as like a genre. Watch The Room, watch Birdemic, watch Troll 2. You're going to have a great time. Miami Connection is one of the big ones I haven't seen yet, but I have seen this movie compared to Miami Connection. I recommend the TV show Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which I pitched to you this Halloween season. We didn't pick it. I'm going to have to get it on here next year. This is like a 6-episode, like limited BBC series from the mid 2000s. That's in the format of Garth Marenghi's this like Stephen King-esque like horror writer. And he comes out and presents a show to you that he also stars in, where he works at Dark Place Hospital, a hospital that's like haunted and on a burial ground and on a vortex and all of this stuff. So it's like an 80s soap opera hospital drama, but also like there's a wild supernatural occurrence every week. And so you watch the show and then you also watch talking head interviews with Garth Marenghi and like the cast and crew who are in the show within the show.
Sure. Yeah.
And it is purposefully like cheap, flimsy B-movie stuff. It's so hokey. It's hysterical. This is some of the stuff I've laughed at the hardest in my whole life. Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Absolutely. And of course, I can't talk about a bad movie without mentioning my beloved Mystery Science Theater 3000. Also very accessible. You can find them streaming. You can go to a Netflix. You can also find a lot of episodes like ripped from old VHS tapes uploaded to YouTube. Because in the pre-streaming and proliferation of like DVDs days, they wanted you to circulate the tapes. They're like, just get the word out there. Share MST3K with anyone you know. You can find some on YouTube. Of particular interest might be the episode Track of the Moon Beast, which is about an archaeologist who finds some sort of an artifact that is transforming him into a dinosaur lizard type creature at night.
Interesting. Okay. There you go. Good stuff. Man, so my partner is really into these like B movie, just like terribly cheesy, real flimsy budget, if not like college projects that somehow got a distribution deal on Amazon for streaming somehow. Amazon has a number of them on Prime that you can watch for free. Peacock also has a very good selection of these like cheesy B movie things that you can watch. Two that I thought were actually really, really good on like the same level as Velocipastor here was the Inhuman Witch. In the Inhuman Witch, which is a like sci-fi. They get infected by this like alien disease thing, and then he just turns into like this giant blob of man witch. And
my gosh.
it just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that one was like hilarious. It was genuinely good. I loved it a lot. Another one of my favorites that just absolutely stellar was I Was a Teenage Were Skunk. Yeah, that one also incredible. It has like a good like 50s style. It has like a diner scene in it. I think they even almost have a musical number in that one too. It's so good. I loved it a lot. But also just as cheesy, just as flimsy, like bad effects and everything. But those will absolutely be a great time. Some other ones I've seen. Oh, yes.
I'm gonna grab something. I forgot there's one more movie I want to recommend. So I'll be back in a minute. Keep talking.
Go for it. I will continue. Yeah. Some more that I can recommend would be like Lamageddon, Attack of the Killer Donuts. That one was another good one. Let's see what else. More recently, if you want like maybe a bigger budget, better production value, there was the Slaughter House movie. There's stuff like that. We saw a trailer for Lavalantulas. There was a volcano that starts spitting out these lava breathing giant spiders. Stuff like that. One of my personal favorites, purely for nostalgia, I haven't watched it in like 2 decades, is the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. This is a movie that we found in like the dollar bin at Costco when I was in maybe middle school at the most. And yeah, it is like cheesy sci-fi meant to look like those like old 1930s sci-fi movies like Them or like Plan 9 from Outer Space, right? Like all of that stuff. And it's just dumb, cheesy effects. So if you're into all of that stuff, go check out those. Melissa, you had one more that you wanted to recommend.
This is I own this on physical DVD. This was one of the final things I ever bought from a Blockbuster. I got this from a closing Blockbuster in like 2010, 2011. Perfect. This is a movie by Asylum Home Entertainment, who makes those mockbusters, where when a big movie comes out, they change a word in the title. Atlantic Rim, etc. Yeah. So at the time when Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes came out, they put out this movie that's just called, because it's in the public domain, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. So they took Sherlock Holmes and kind of put him in the dinosaur vibes of The Lost World. So you look at this cover and it looks normal. There's like Sherlock and Watson and Moriarty, I guess, and like Big Ben.
They almost look like the Mount Rushmore statues, and
it's just floating heads.
Yeah,
it's classic text. The O in Holmes is a magnifying glass. There's some floating heads. There's Big Ben. It looks normal, and then popping out of the Thames River is a big T-Rex. There's tentacles. There's a pterodactyl who's breathing fire.
Amazing.
So the plot of this movie, there's a quote on the back that is not attributed. It's just a phrase in quotation marks that says, an explosive creature-filled mystery adventure in the vein of Harry Potter and Hellboy.
End quote.
End quote. From whom? I don't know. So this is a standard Sherlock story, except you find out that he is a lost half brother named Thorpe who lives in like a mechanical suit, and he is like a robot maid, and he's gonna get in a hot air balloon and attack Parliament, and he's brought all these dinosaurs to attack London and set it on fire.
Great. Like one does, you know?
I remember very little of it. It's unfortunately kind of dull. Like the premise is wild, but I don't remember any specific like great laugh points, except for one where a CGI velociraptor just like leaps out from behind a tree. Just like it starts several feet off the ground when you see it exit from behind the tree and just like pounces into some generic park that they're filming in. Another great generic park movie. I don't know where you can find this. Like I said, I bought a DVD from a closed Blockbuster like 12 years ago, with a title this generic, I don't know how you could Google it. But if you want to see Sherlock Holmes fight a dinosaur, this movie is here for that specific need.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Those are our recommendations for this week. Melissa, it is your turn to do some pitches for this next week.
Well, next week, it will be the final Sunday of the month. That means we are going to continue our ongoing monthly series. We'll be reading the last 3 volumes of the original Mike Mignola Hellboy comics. We've been reading 3 of those a month for the last couple months. So this month we're going to read 10, 11, and 12, and then we'll be done.
Yeah.
But I have pitches for the week after that.
Perfect.
In honor of the upcoming Christmas holidays, I am offering you a choice between a red movie or a green movie.
Oh, man. Red or green, the show, the theming of the Whatnauts review show has always been red. We have like a red go around on our YouTube. So I'm going to go the opposite with green.
Oh, okay. You know that beloved holiday classic where Jim Carrey is painted green and he's some sort of local weirdo?
Mm-hmm.
We're not watching that one that you would watch at Christmas time. We're watching The Mask.
The Mask. Okay. There we go.
So wow. I'll tell you what my idea was besides just the binary Christmas theme red and green.
Okay.
I had 2 movies that each are my gift to you, gonna cross something off of our bingo sheets because our bingo sheets have been pretty dry lately. If you had picked red, we would have watched the 1948 musical The Red Shoes, which would have gotten us arted to death. And it would have continued our Woman Artist in Peril series in the vein of Suspiria, Perfect Blue, Suspiria, Black Swan, and Persona.
Yeah.
And instead, you've chosen green. We're going to watch Jim Carrey's The Mask, a movie in which he gets splashed by a big puddle.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Good stuff. Good thinking. Good idea. Well, yeah, that is what we will end up doing for the first week in December. So be on the lookout for all of that good stuff. And like we said, next week here on the show, Hellboy.
Yeah.
He is red.
I'll just mention,
the mask is green, right?
Merry Christmas, everybody. Right. We've spent a lot of this year talking about red guy. Now it's time for green guy.
We need
The Mask.
Go ahead.
I just want to mention that you can also watch this movie for free on Tubi or on Max.
There you go. I was going to say, we need some kind of like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but themed around a holiday instead, where it's like, we got Hellboy and the Mask or the Grinch, and they're all teaming up to save Christmas. They're red and green. Oh, well. Maybe I'm not as funny as I think. Okay, that is it for our podcast this week. We hope you enjoyed it. I know we had a blast And yeah, we will see you all next week. So, Melissa, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter. No, well, you can still theoretically find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. I haven't updated those in a long time. I just mentioned this out of muscle memory. But my account still exists. You can look at old stuff. You can send me a message. I will get the notification that you've sent me a message. But for right now, you can find me on Letterboxd, also under WilkyWit, WilkyWit.
Perfect. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on most social media places. And if you would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on most social medias. So please go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. For watching this on YouTube, go check out one of our other videos right over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out a bunch as well. And yeah, this has been number 280 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.